Hi everyone, Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to Michael Edenbaum. How you doing, Michael?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
It's my pleasure. Now, Michael is an actor, and I think we talked about you being a producer as well.
That is correct.
Good. So we're going to talk about what you did before, Michael, and how we got to here. So can we start at the beginning?
At the beginning, that's a long
Yeah.
story.
What got you into acting, Michael?
It's funny because there are moments in your life that you don't really think are significant, but when you look back, you know that they changed the trajectory of your life. I was a little kid. I'm not going to age myself too much as if I can, but there was an old movie with Paul Newman and Robert Redford called Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yes.
And when I saw that movie, I've always been fascinated by movies. And when I was a little kid, one of my favorite shows was The Twilight Zone. And I used to watch The Twilight Zone and wonder and think how creative it was, how they did the lighting, the camera angles, and stuff that a little kid shouldn't really even be paying attention to. So I guess this was always part of my journey. It just took me 1,000 years to have the nerve to step through that door. And I saw Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and I wanted to be Robert Redford. I thought that is the coolest job. I can't even imagine what that would be like. So that planted the seed. Fast forward to a little movie that I was in Dallas, Texas, where I grew up, and I was a counterfeit art dealer. I got my head slammed on a brand new Mercedes by a Dallas Cowboy linebacker named Vincent Smith. He took the role a little too serious. I almost got knocked out, but I was like in heaven. It was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. So from that moment on, I went to college, went to UT. Actually, I did this movie after college, but I when I was at UT, I took one film class and I learned all of the backside of how movies are made, studying film noir, Citizen Kane, all the classic movies, and it just stuck with me. And if you dial forward to about a little over 2 years ago, I was out with a couple of friends of mine, and one of them, she said, Michael, wherever we go, people seem to say, you look, you know who you look like? Sometimes it's a compliment. Many times it's like, oh, God, I wish you hadn't said that. But somebody, an actor, a celebrity, even a neighbor, an old boyfriend. And she said, you want to make money off that. Why don't you get an agent? And here's a casting site on Facebook. I had no idea those even existed. So the next week, I got an agent. Following week, I got my first coffee commercial, Community Coffee. It was just a background role, but I was like, this is what I want to do. And if you go from that moment, a little over 2 years ago to now, I have been cast in 19 films. I just got my eighth series. I was going to say seven, but I have to have them written down. That's how many things that have been happening. And it's almost like I can't believe this is happening. On a bit of a somber note, I lost my dad about 3.5 weeks ago.
I'm
And
sorry for your loss, Michael. Truly.
thank you. Thank you. I didn't just lose my dad, I lost my best friend, my mentor, the person that um, he and my mom were the most incredible people I've ever known, the most in love couple I've ever known. I lost my mom 10 years ago in 2015, and my dad kind of helped me get through that. And so now that he's gone, the world seems a little off kilter, but he got to see all of, a lot of the success that I've been in. The movie, Teresa, that I sent you the trailer, which we'll talk about later, Stairway, he was so proud. And that was the movie he wanted me to do. And I am going to do everything I can to honor him. It'll probably be the most important film I ever do. As you know, it takes place during the Holocaust.
Yeah.
It's a true story. And I think it's going to be one of the biggest films in a very, very long time. We're looking for a multi-million-dollar budget. I believe we will get it. And so somebody on a recent interview asked me, what's the best part of being an actor? This is before my dad passed. And I said, well, that's an easy answer. When I get to call my dad and tell him, I got this part, I got this role, I'm in this series, I'm a producer on this project. Now I can still talk to him. I do multiple times a day, but like I told him, I won't be able to hear your voice. I hear him in my head, which that will suffice, because one of the last things he said to me many times is, and I said, Dad, I don't know what I'm going to do when you're not here, when you're with mom. And he said, well, when you're sad, just remember how happy I am with your mom. And he would follow that up every time saying, I will always be with you. And I hear those words in my head repeating over and over every time I get sad. I wear his wedding ring on my right hand. I'm not married, but I wear it on my right hand. His favorite number is three, so I kiss it three times whenever I'm thinking about him. This is his watch, and I'm sorry for the long answer, but
No, that's good. This is okay.
yeah, this has kind of put a fire in me. It helps me kind of push forward because I know that's what he and my mom would want. Um, like I told you, Teresa, I've got another movie and another series I was just cast in. Um, and then another series, this my first sitcom, comedy that I didn't know if we were going to get green lighted on. It kind of stalled out, and now it looks like that's back on track. So I think he's already working as my producer in the sky, my casting director, and I will miss him forever. But he's with me, like he said, he's always going to be with me.
I completely believe that. And you're such a warm, kind person, and you had obviously wonderful, loving parents. And I'm sure they're watching over you every single day. And it's good that you talk to them. It's good for the heart. So I have back here a picture. I lost my husband a few years ago and my daughter. So I
Yeah.
have cardinals here to remind me that love is still continues on, right? But Michael, from there, I want to talk to you though about all of your shows and your movies. I know your dad is proud of you and your mom. Let's talk about what they're seeing. What are name some of the shows and name some of the movies that you've done.
I'll go backwards. The last movie that is on Amazon and a lot of other platforms right now is called Dubby's Promise. True story about Dubby Roundtree in 1964, African American lady and attorney that defended Mary Pinchot Meyer, who was JFK's last mistress. She went up against the DOJ in 1964, 1965, and you can imagine the racism in our country at that point, and she won. And this is a story 9 out of 10 people are not even aware of. I play a DOJ prosecutor. I basically I'm on have somebody on the stand who is an FBI firearms expert. I reenact the murder. It was a very powerful film. I'm very proud of it. I got to meet a lot of just unbelievably talented actors. A guy named Ralph Sinkay, who, by the way, was the first director and writer to give me a shot in a movie, in a previous movie of his called 3 Days or Else, where I got to play an FBI agent. So I'm in a debt of gratitude to Ralph. Um, I was also in, I've been in so many things. I was a Texas Ranger on the series Walker,
Sure, we
uh,
know that.
thanks to Stephanie Lenz out of Lenz Casting and Legacy Casting. Um, I, I got to meet people like Martin Luther King's goddaughter, Donzale Abernathy. I got to meet
Oh,
Academy Award nominated actor Eric Roberts. I was able to work on a film with him.
sure.
Um, I've been cast as a werewolf in a series and a movie. Some of these are in pre production or not even starting production yet. Um, and I've been in a vertical film, which was called Audrey in Full Bloom. For those of you that don't know what a vertical film is, it's a film that's designed to be watched on a tablet or your phone, and it's huge in
Oh,
Asia and Europe, and they're almost like soap opera-ish. So I got to play a billionaire, Daniel Marlowe, on that. I see a Zero World. If you and I'm going back to the Twilight Zone, Zero World is one of the most creative projects. I'm a producer and actor on this. It is shot like it's in the 1960s, black and white, Rod Serlingish, Twilight Zone, Lost in Space, Star Wars. It's an anthology. So I'm in the series and the feature film that we'll be shooting later this summer I'm a starship captain in the feature film, and on the series, I'm one of the Men in Black, Agent 47. So, what guy wouldn't want to be a starship captain or a Men in Black?
Right?
Uh, God, so many other things. Anderson County, we're shooting again on the summer. True story takes place in Palestine, Texas, about a game warden that was shot by a poacher in the 1950s. And
Okay.
I play one of the slick detectives or law enforcement coming out of the big city into the small town. Again, true story. Um, God, there's so many. I've got probably 15 upcoming. The series that is a sitcom, it's comedy. I can't really talk about the name,
Sure.
but I will say it's very on the same light as The Office. And
Okay.
my character is one of the lead characters, and it's kind of like the gym in the show in the series The Office.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, that's going to be really fun. Um, there's a couple movies that I'm waiting to hear on. I've been able to work on a Taylor Sheridan, just one episode on 1923. Hopefully, I'll get in with Ken here in Austin with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. Um, there's another big movie that a friend of mine, actually a relative who is producer, called Under the Shadow about the Flying Tigers. Real true history. I was cast as a pilot. This will be a big old Hollywood 100 million plus type
Wow.
movie. So kind of in the series, in the aspects of funding it. And then I'm leaving out half of them because I don't want to take up your whole show. But
Yeah, no, we're loving it. And I'm going to get you in the show notes. I want you to send me over the titles. Can people get some of these on perhaps some of the streaming networks, or is there any areas where we can look to find these?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Debbie's Promise, like I say, is on Amazon and a few more, but Amazon's probably the easiest
Okay,
place.
great.
It was released about a month and a half ago. But the movie, one of the movies, I'm proud of many of them, but Stairway is probably the deepest in my soul. I had relatives from the Polish area,
Mm.
um, kind of the Ukraine Polish border on my mother and father's side. When I saw Schindler's List, it was one of the only movies that physically affected me. I couldn't even stand up. I had this feeling like I was watching home movies, like I was there in a past life. Um, I'm Jewish, and the Holocaust is, a tremendously powerful thing. And this film is probably going to remind the world in a very divided time what beauty and what evil are human beings capable of. And it is probably one of the most emotional roles I will ever have. We're going to shoot it in Vienna, Austria, Poland, and Texas. And again, this is all a true story. So, this is the kind of movie, and I say this not out of a joke, not out of bragging. I say it because I'm putting it out in the universe because it's so powerful. This is the kind of movie that the Academy Awards will pay attention to. We're looking for a budget about the same as The Brutalist with Adrian Brody that just won an
Oh,
Academy Award.
sure. Okay.
And I am a producer on it as well as one of the lead actors. And I had to master an Austrian accent. So it's a very challenging
I
role,
bet.
and there are some very emotional scenes now that my dad has passed. There's so many things in real life that I could draw to bring forward that emotion. But I talked about this movie with my dad so much, and he is so proud. I say is, not was. He and my mom are so proud that the Edenbaum name will be associated with something so beautiful and so
That's
powerful.
lovely.
It's just, it touches my soul. And the feedback, and I'm working with a guy out of Ireland. He lives in Austin, and he's got offices all over the world. His name is Jerry. Shout out to Jerry. Um, and he's working with his Rolodex of just contacts all over the planet. The reaction from what he's telling me is people have been brought to tears just on the trailer, and that gives me a lot of confidence that this movie will be seen by the world. So that is on the top of my list.
I'm very grateful that you sent the trailer to me and on the one that you had sent me. And when I looked at it, I was taken back. So I'm very impressed. And Michael, I want to say to you, you mentioned a few of these roles, and you are so versatile because you mentioned being a lawyer in one of them. You look like a lawyer. You
Um,
mentioned Jim in the office. I saw the trailer. I saw what you're doing there. I could see you fitting right into these wonderful roles. And so I just want to say, as a viewer, you're so versatile. You could do all
Thank
of this. And I would add that, and we talked about your mom and dad, and they're obviously a bond to you that's so strong. But one thing with your loss, if I may, and I know it's new to you, you are able to draw that, and you mentioned that, and the emotion that comes with that. Your dad is in your heart and your mom, but mostly your dad, I know, because lately you talked about these movies. You're going to be able to reach in and pull that love out in your future. So I think that's a wonderful, wonderful gift that you now have, if that's fair.
Absolutely right.
We certainly love to have our families back, but if you could take that gift, and I think your dad is watching saying, well done, Michael.
Thank you. And there's two other things I think you might find interesting. When I did that coffee commercial, the acting world, it's funny, I on a recent interview, I compare it to a karaoke bar. If you go to a karaoke bar, you ever notice the culture? No matter how bad somebody is, people generally support them and clap.
They
And
do.
that's the same way, at least in Austin, the acting world. Everybody really does support each other. And I met a lady, her name is Deanne Conley, on my first coffee commercial. I was so green. I was so in awe of everybody. And she was the location manager for Terminator 2.
Oh,
And
okay.
and also Maverick with Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson and a lot of big movies. And here I'm sitting here talking to her now. She's one of my best friends, and she's kind of my acting partner. In fact, she's coming over here in about an hour. We're going to do some auditions for her, and that's how the acting world is here. People generally really support each other. I try to pull people in on my projects, and they try to pull me in. And yes, I get a lot of doctors, lawyers. I am cast in another movie that's on the shelf now, but I think it'll get made as the front man for the cartel. I'm the
Oh,
happy face that you would never guess. And so, yeah, the versatility. I was also a pediatric cardiac surgeon.
but see,
Uh,
I can see that. I can see you with the white jacket on. I can see you as the doctor too. That is so crazy. You
East
have
Texas
such a
farmer,
versatile look.
an East Texas farmer that turns into a werewolf. And I
And I
try to
can see you playing the villain as well. Like it's unbelievable the spectrum that you have just by your looks alone. And your voice is very controlled and very professional. I can see you doing all of these things.
And Teresa, I would be ashamed if I didn't mention this. I thought just by looking at your show and some of the episodes, people overcoming things and
Yeah.
turning it to success. 9 years ago, I had cancer on my tonsil, just on the left side. And I didn't go through chemo, but I did have radiation. And in the cancer world, that is the most painful treatment on planet Earth. Every single time you breathe in, every time you breathe out, every time you talk. For a year, I couldn't have solid food. I'd drink one Ensure. It would take me 45 minutes.
Oh my
My
goodness.
hands would be shaking from the pain. Um, and ironically, it was my sister that said, when you have cancer, and she'd gone through it twice, breast cancer, she said, you get a gift at the end. And, and I make a joke about it because, even in the darkest times, and this is part of Stairway, the movie, I'm not going to give away my line, but there are dark, dark moments in your life. Even in those moments, especially in those moments, there is beauty, but you have to look close. And when I got that cancer afterwards, it actually made my voice better. I've had directors say, Michael, your voice is just incredible. You're mic'd up. We don't even need the mic. It just resonates. And I said, well, all you got to do is go through cancer and almost die. And you too can have that kind of voice. But the good news is it's the kind of cancer that can be considered cured. And you buy the champagne in 3 years, you drink it in five, and it's been 9 years for me. So I am cured. And there are no bad days. If I really think about it, the color of the sky is different. We're only here for a minute and a half, so I'm going to enjoy it till I open that door and see my mom and dad.
I'm so glad that you recovered. I'm so glad that you got through it. And yes, your voice is amazing. So nice gift there. So well done. And you know what? I was thinking the whole time, and I'm dating myself. You actually, when you were saying you went through cancer and your voice and everything, and that's where I was hearing the voice. That is quite interesting. There was a show called Dr. Kildare, and you remind me of that doctor, even your voice. So
Oh,
yes, that
who,
gift and
who
the
something? Who is the
it
star?
it was called Dr. Kildare. Now I'm
The
dating myself, but you look it up. He absolutely had you had that same kind of look and he had that voice, the voice that was resonating with the patients and calm and controlled. So yeah, take a look, Michael, because just reminded me of that. I don't know why, but it did. And but I am truly, truly very happy that you're okay. Cancer is a very scary thing for anyone going through it, and you are right. It's very painful. I've had family members go through cancer and treatment, radiation, and chemo. It is the hardest thing to go through for the person mostly, and the entire family who's supportive. So I'm so
Poetry.
glad you're okay.
I will mention this, and when I go on one of the traditions, I see my dad once a week. He lived on the lake about an hour from here, Lake LBJ, and we would go on the golf cart in his neighborhood. And I saw this tree, and it had a trunk that was like this, real curved. And I remember reading a Chinese proverb, and I hope I quote this correctly. A crooked tree lives a long, healthy life. A straight tree becomes a board. So in
Oh,
life, you're supposed to have scars
yeah.
like I do. I have radiation scars. I show those as a badge of honor. Look what I overcame.
Yeah.
My martial arts training, my scuba diver training. There was a moment where I was on the ground and I thought I was going to cross over.
Oh
And
my.
I thought about if I can just get one breath, that means I can get two. And I talked myself down. That was a scuba diver training. And then in the martial arts, world, just that Zen. And after that, it was like, wow, I just did kind of a Navy SEAL kind of thing there. And
Yeah.
um, that crooked tree, now I have some of those waves in my life, and that's what it's supposed to be. Take chances. You know, when people say, did you ever think you'd be at the Academy Awards? Yes, every day. I think that, and I hope that. And I think more people should live their life that way. Take a shot. What if I hadn't gotten that agent? What if I hadn't taken a shot? 19 movies later, you never know what your trajectory is, and it doesn't come to you in a scream. It comes to you in a whisper. So listen to that whisper.
That's fantastic advice, honestly, Michael. And I'm thinking that and you've been only 2 years, and look how far you've come. And I imagine your future is so bright. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Can I ask you that?
I love that question. You're the first person to ask that question, because I think, modesty is a good thing. But I also think you've got to manifest what you want. What I see is we get the funding for Stairway. And by the way, if any of your viewers, and I'm not saying this, this is how I do. I mean, I have a director of sales background, so I know how to promote products, and I am the product. So if any of your listeners want to invest in a movie that is probably going to be one of the biggest movies in a very long time, our budget is, over 7 million. I'm not going to say the exact number, but I see that movie happening, shooting next year. I see it going to the Cannes Film Festival. I see it possibly being nominated at the Academy Awards. I see myself producing at least 4 projects after that I've already got lined up. And I see me at the end of that journey helping as many people as I can. Actors, people on the street, friends. I mean, what's the purpose of having a lot of money if you take it in your coffin? So
Right.
my mom and dad were very much like that. Um, Helping as many people as you can. The reward is the feeling that you get afterwards, not because you expect a reward, because if that's what you're doing, even Einstein said it's pretty sad if you're doing good things for the reward. But I see myself helping people out of dark times and restoring their faith in humanity. We are so divided right now, and I'm sick of it. I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and that's how it's supposed to be. And I want to do everything I can to help people and also inspire them to pass it on and help people. So that's where I see my life going.
That's so commendable. And I have no doubt in my mind we're going to see you there. And whatever your journey is, I think you're just going to do amazing. And absolutely, we'll put it out there. I want to promote you. I do take pride in promoting a lot of people who are trying to make it in life. You are right. If I could circle back, Success Diaries is about people who've overcome adversity, who've moved forward. And some, it's about promoting. It just kind of went there. And I ended up in the acting world with people. I have some wonderful producers, directors, and actors that I've been able to promote on here, and I'm just so proud of them. And they've gone on to do amazing things, not because of me, but I like that I can promote them and do that. So I like to be a small part of that. And but Michael, absolutely, I can see you doing all of these things. Giving back is probably the best thing anyone could do because as you know, it heals you, it heals your heart and it helps. And if they pass it on to others, it's like a ripple in the pond, doesn't it?
It really isn't, Teresa. I think you don't give yourself enough credit, if I do say so, because one little wave in the ocean
Yeah.
causes a reaction. One of your viewers may hear this. One of them may
Yeah.
know an investor. One of them may know another project that I'm good for, and they call me, and it turns out to be a giant hit or whatever. I mentioned your show, and all of a sudden, your viewership gets bigger and bigger. Um, it's it's a domino effect, and
Yeah, it is.
it's the little tiny tweaks. There's a movie called The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon, and my dad and I used to talk about it. These little tiny pushes to push you to the left or to the right that you think is just nothing, but it does change the trajectory of your life. And people like you have a much bigger impact than I think even you give yourself credit for. So
Well, those
thank
are very kind words, but and you know what? I think it's also so you're in the act. Thank you for that. So in the acting world, you're giving also. So people, we see movies. I saw your trailer, and I'm gonna add that. So when we're finished here and I start promoting you and the show, I will also promote that trailer for you because that's important. And as you go forward, when you're moving forward, just know that, in your heart, there's a lot of people watching today that are looking for you to go and do those wonderful things. But that story that you're acting in, you said earlier, if I could circle back, your dad and you talked about it, it's in your heart, and your dad's a piece of that. So no matter what you do forward, you're doing it with him as well. So think about the generations of people that you're representing in all of this. So absolutely. So credit where it's due as well, Michael. Well done. Now, if somebody today wanted to reach out to you, what is the best place to get you, Michael? What's the best place? Do you have a web page? I know, are you on IMDb?
Go to IMDb and just I'm the only Michael Edenbaum,
Okay,
oddly enough. And by the way, you can also see the trailer. It automatically comes up on my IMDb page. So
perfect.
that would be the best thing. IMDb. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Instagram is M as in Michael Edenbaum. But IMDb has everything. I've
Good.
got a ton of pictures, behind the scenes stuff that's pretty interesting. Every time I do a project, it comes up on IMDb. So that would be the number one place to follow me on. And like I say, for anyone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone, if you watch the trailer, whether it's through Teresa or through IMDb, and you know somebody that has been affected by the Holocaust, and you know somebody that would be a potential investor, definitely I'm one of three, actually four producers on this project, and I can get you in touch with the person that's coordinating all of it, the money side of it. His name is Jerry Hayes, and so that is uh, that is something that I think there's certain things that you do in your life that makes such a spiritual, impactful. I'm just searching for words, but importance like goodness, based in goodness. This is one of those movies. And I will also say, unlike Schindler's List, which was absolute cinematic beauty, it's the Mona Lisa. Um, this movie, it's not as dark at the end. It definitely touches on the reality and the horrors of the Holocaust, but there is an inspiring. It ends with an inspiring note, and people
Okay.
will feel good walking out of it. And you can bring your children to it. So I just really I can't I can't talk about this movie enough. I think you can hear the sincerity in my soul and my voice because I think it was brought to me for a reason, and I am just beyond proud to put something out for all of those that suffered in the Holocaust or know somebody. And it wasn't just Jewish people; it was Christians. It was everything you can
Oh,
imagine.
yeah.
Uh, and the darkest moments of our society, and we need to be reminded so we don't forget. So, if Steven Spielberg is listening, or if there are any high-profile people, please get in touch with me. You can go to my contact information on IMDb, and I would look forward to that, and I'd be very grateful.
I'm definitely going to put all of that in the show notes for you, Michael, as well. So we'll have all of that here too. So anyone will be able to reach out to you. And I have my social media as well. So we'll be promoting wherever we can for you. So thank you. Michael, what are you doing? I know you've got the trailer going. What project are you working on right now? Are you in between or are you doing something right now?
Yeah, the there's three. Anderson County, which we did the trailer and the short, POC, proof of concept. We
Okay.
did that a month and a half ago. We're going to be shooting that movie, full feature film, I think in July.
Okay.
And yeah, July. And then the series, the sitcom, could be around the same time, July, August,
Okay.
and they're all happening at the same time. And then July, August, also Zero World, which is the
Okay.
Twilight Zone-ish, which is a feature film and a series. So I'll be a Men in Black and I'll be a starship captain. All of those, it looks like I'll have a little bit of a break in June, but I might be doing a few episodes of Kin if I can get on with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, even if it's just background.
Oh,
It's
sure. One thing you do have in acting, you need a lot in your toolbox. So as you produce, you act, you've got some great experiences you've talked about, even scuba diving. You need a lot of areas so that when a movie or a show comes up, you have some more equipment, if you will, or tools that you're able to add to it. So that's very good, Michael. Very well done. My last question is, would you come back and do another episode with us down the road and tell us how you're doing?
only 100%.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy to hear you say that.
Absolutely. And Teresa, I want to help you. I want to promote your show because I think what you do is just incredible. It's more about giving than taking, and that usually circles back tenfold to the person doing it. So I'm assuming, and forgive me for asking this simplistic question, but I know you're going to edit the show, and then I guess I get a link, and then because I want to put it out on my own social media. So just let me know when that takes place.
It certainly will. I edit my own. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer, Michael. I do it all, but you will get a copy of it. Absolutely be on YouTube. We put it on YouTube, Facebook. I start with YouTube and then I start going over the social medias. I do a promotion about it. I do quite a few things you'll see. Instagram, all the social media availability, but you will certainly get the copy right away as it goes on to YouTube.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay?
Well, I'm sorry we probably went about 10 minutes longer than you wanted, but I could just keep talking and talking. And so I think
And
we'll
we
have
could
to do.
I could keep listening all day, and my viewers are just going to love you, Michael. So thank you so much for coming on my show today. I know you're going to do great things, and I'm looking forward to down the road having you back.
I look forward to it, and I am grateful to you, Teresa. Anything I can do to help you, let me know.
Thank you, my friend. So to everyone, take a look at Michael's social media. Go to IMDb. He'll be on there, but I'll make sure in the show notes that you have everything that you need to be able to follow Michael. And we're looking forward to seeing what he does. everyone else, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. I hope you're all having a great day. Do subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that. Have a great day. I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Bye bye now.